Hey guys, welcome back. So today I finally decided to do my story video. Basically, I just want to talk about my childhood, growing up, moving to the United States, basically like my past. And to be completely honest, I was very nervous about making this video. I put it off for a really long time simply because opening up online is hard. People can be very judgmental and just cruel in the comments. Not that you guys are, it's just overall like opening up online is hard. So I'm a little bit nervous. But you know, I'm just gonna do it, and I want you guys to get to know me and kind of know my upbringing and things like that. So maybe some of you guys can even relate to the things that I went through growing up, and hopefully this video can help someone or just kind of understand better who I am. But this might be kind of a babble. I don't have anything planned out. I'm just going to like tell a story pretty much, and that's about it. If I have any pictures like throughout the story, I'll like throw them in here, but most of my pictures are back in Chicago. So maybe I could have my mom like send me some of them, I'm not sure. We'll see. But I'm just gonna get straight into this because it's already turning into a babble. So excuse my nervousness, but yeah. Anyway, so on January 6, 1996, I was born. I was born in a town called Ternopil in Ukraine. Most of people don't know this. I wasn't born here in the United States. And I speak Ukrainian fluently. I can also speak Russian, and I can understand Polish. I don't fluently speak it, but if I had to like, you know, find my way around Poland, I could probably do it. So most people probably didn't know this, but I wasn't born here. So both of my parents were very, very young when they had me. They were both 22, and they were both actually going to med school. My mom was studying to be an OBGYN, so she wanted to like do delivery, like baby deliveries, and my dad was studying to be a surgeon. Now, little background story, all my family's into medicine. My grandpa was a pediatric surgeon, my grandma's a pharmacist, so this is like, my family is very, very involved in the medical field. And so when they found out that my mom was pregnant, my grandparents said that they would help out a lot with raising me because my parents wanted to continue going to school and make sure that they would get the degree and become doctors. So growing up, we lived in this like little tiny apartment. It was like the tiniest thing ever. It was probably like smaller than the studio, or it was probably the size of the studio, but there was a one bedroom, and then there was like a little kitchen and a tiny bathroom. So I would spend a lot of the time with my grandparents growing up because, like I said, my parents were in school and stuff. And then when I turned 5 years old, my mom and dad won a green card to come to the United States. And they decided that it was a really good opportunity, that it would be a good opportunity for me to be able to grow up here and go to school here and get an education here, because American education is very, very valued all over the world. So they decided that they would take the chance and the risk of coming here, but unfortunately the education that they got in Ukraine, it didn't transfer to the United States, so they couldn't practice medicine, neither of them. My dad decided that he did want to go to med school all over again. It was his passion. He knew he wanted to be a doctor. But my mom said it was just a lot of stress and there was no way she should be able to do it because her English wasn't really good at all. So she decided to pursue nursing instead. But before they could even do that, they had to go to school to just learn the language. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because this next step. So I was 5 years old, right? I was a baby. I required so much attention, and you know, they couldn't put me in kindergarten because they couldn't afford it. My parents were literally working like minimum wage jobs. I think my mom was babysitting, and then she was like looking after like an older lady. And then I don't even remember what my dad was doing, but they were working full time. They were going to school part time, and then they were taking classes to learn English. So basically, this next part, I don't know if people are going to judge my parents or if they're going to judge my family or whatever, but my parents decided with my grandparents that it was a better decision for me to move back to Ukraine because, like I said, I was very young. I required so much attention and time and money, like, you know, having a baby is expensive. Now, a little background story on my grandparents, both from my mom's and my dad's side. They were very young. The grandparents on my mom's side were building a huge house when I was born. So basically from when I was 1 year old to when I was 5 years old, they built this incredible house. It was next to a forest. It was like huge. They had so many like acres of land. They had chickens and rabbits. They grew their own food. They had like potatoes and vegetables and apple trees, plum trees, grapes, like anything you could think of. So the environment that my grandparents had was very good, and they loved me with all their heart. So the reason I just wanted to tell you guys this was, my parents made a very hard decision, but you guys, it was the best decision they could have ever made for me. And when I look back at my childhood growing up, so I moved back to Ukraine, like the memories and the feelings that I get is just so like filled with love and happiness and smiles. My grandparents gave me the absolute world. My grandma was always so involved in my school. We would always take vacations. We would always travel to the Black Sea. We would go on road trips, and like I remember even like my friends from school would always be like, wow, your grandma's doing so much. Like we would have plays or like concerts, things like that. So never once growing up with my grandparents did I have to question, like, am I loved? Because they showed me all the love in the world. We had this huge house, like I said, and I had a German Shepherd. They got me a puppy like the day I moved in with them. It was a little tiny German Shepherd. His name was Archie, and he was my absolute best friend. They taught me how to ride a bike. My grandma taught me how to swim, how to play badminton, how to play soccer. I'm like almost tearing up talking about this because they gave me everything in life. Like when I look back at my childhood, I just think of like utter and pure happiness. I had amazing friends. I had my whole other family. My grandma on my mom's side had like 6 or 7 brothers and sisters. So whenever we would have holidays like Christmas and birthdays and stuff, like I would have this whole family, and I was very, very happy. Like that's the memories that I have from when I was 5 up until I was 10 years old. So now most of you are probably questioning like, what did your parents do? My parents would visit like once a year. I know that's not, ideal, but like I said, they were trying to get an education. They were just trying to put themselves on their feet here in the United States. But while all of that was happening, my parents actually decided to get a divorce. And, I remember, my grandparents kind of sitting me down and talking to me about it. And to be completely honest, I was just kind of like, I was thrown off. I didn't really understand. But then again, it wasn't something that affected me that much because I didn't live with them. So after a while, I just kind of dealt with it and I was okay. And then when I turned 9 years old is when things kind of, that's like the dark period of my life kind of started. So the dog that I grew up with, the German Shepherd, like literally he was my best friend. He was like, I can't even explain to you guys the relationship that I had with that dog. He passed away. He actually had a heart attack right in front of me. He like jumped up, he got really excited to see me, and he passed away. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. I had an anxiety attack. I started to have a panic attack, and my grandparents almost had to take me to the hospital. I like broke a window in my house, and I remember that day like it happened literally an hour ago. And then that same year, my grandpa on my dad's side developed lung cancer. And although I didn't live with those grandparents on my dad's side, they were a huge part of me growing up. I would go to visit them all the time. Like I would spend 2 to 3 times a week like at their house, and they were amazing. So when my grandpa developed lung cancer, like after my dog died and stuff, I just remember like that year was like very filled with sadness. And then my grandpa actually passed away. So I remember, seeing my grandma and like my whole family, and to be completely honest, like I remember the funeral, but I don't remember the feelings. Like I think it just kind of numbed everything out. And my dad came back from the US and had the funeral, and my grandpa was a pediatric surgeon, so I've never seen a funeral with so many people. And I remember people coming up to me at the funeral like, your grandpa is an incredible man, he saved my kid's life. So that year was pretty hard growing up. And then I turned 10 years old and things kind of calmed down, and I felt like my life was kind of going back to normal. And my mom decided that it was time for me to move here. She had a good job. Her and her boyfriend at the time, but now my stepdad, had a townhouse, and I had like my own room and stuff. And I remember my grandparents sitting me down, and they kind of, we've always talked about it. Like I always kind of knew that I would have to move with my parents at some point, but growing up I just never thought about it because like I loved my life, so it wasn't something that I would bring up myself. And they sat me down and they told me, your mom is ready. She's very excited. Like, it's time for you to go. And I remember like just feeling so angry and like I didn't want to leave. I was screaming like, you're not gonna make me go. I don't want to go. I don't want to leave my life. My friends are here, my family's here, you guys are here, and I didn't want to leave them. But they convinced me that it would be a new experience and I would be with my mom finally, and it'd be different, that I would make new friends, that things would be great. And so because of them, I changed my attitude. I was like, you know, maybe this will be a great experience. Maybe I am going to love it. And so at 10 years old, after I finished 4th grade in Ukraine, I moved to the United States. And like I said, my mom and my stepdad had a house, and like I loved my stepdad. He was hilarious. He truly like made my life better. So if you're watching this right now, I love you. Thank you so much for everything that you did. He was a big part of my transition here to the US, because he spent a lot of time with me because my mom was at work a lot. And so that first year was probably the hardest year of my entire life. I learned English back in Ukraine the 4 years that I spent in school, but it wasn't enough. I mean, I literally could probably say like, hi, my name's Mariana. I had like a very thick accent. I was chubby kind of, just because, you know, you're 10 years old, you like food, and I did. So I remember I didn't have any friends in 5th grade. I remember being made fun of, but not even understanding like what people are saying. I remember spending I would have like anxiety whenever recess would come around, because everyone would be with their friends or playing games and stuff, and I just wanted to like be unseen, if that makes sense. Like I just wanted to be invisible. I remember counting down the minutes, the seconds that, you know, that class would end so I could just go home. And that was like majority of my 5th grade. I remember I would come home and I would turn to food and I would eat a lot, and then I would call my grandparents and I would beg them. I would be hyperventilating on the phone, like, take me back, I don't want to be here, I hate it. And I remember it would hurt my mom's feelings a lot, because she would see me constantly like having anxiety and just never wanting to be outside. I never wanted to do anything, and my mom and my stepdad would always try their best to like do all these fun things. Like over the summer we would always go to Disneyland in Florida, and like we would take vacations and stuff, and to try and like make me feel better and make me feel more comfortable. But honestly, just the language barrier and the fact that like I couldn't make friends because I couldn't talk to anyone was very hard. So I think that at that point was when I actually developed like very bad separation anxiety. I could never be left alone. Like literally, I remember having the worst anxiety attack of my life was when my parents decided that they wanted me to sleep in, and they only had one car. And my stepdad would drive my mom to work, and then he would come back and like spend a day with me. And I remember I woke up and they weren't there, and I ran out of my house and I was crying and I couldn't breathe, and my neighbor like ran out. He was like, are you okay? Like, should I call 911? And I didn't even understand what he was saying. So then I remember going back the summer after 5th grade to Ukraine, and I remember saying like, that's it, I'm staying here, I'm not going back. And then I was kind of forced to go back because I had to go back to school, and I couldn't go back to school in Ukraine. So I went back, and you know, my English actually got a lot better. So I remember watching a lot of like Dora and SpongeBob and stuff, and I think because I was watching so many cartoons, I learned English really fast. I remember going back to 6th grade and I could actually understand like what my teachers were saying, and I started making friends. I started going to sleepovers. I remember there was like a bike ride that we went on that I was super excited about. I like wouldn't stop talking about it to my mom, and things kind of started to like look up. It didn't seem so bad. Then I remember at some point, like as you know, as I continued to make friends, I remember I joined the swim team. I remember my grandparents calling one day and my grandma asking, so do you still want to come back? And I remember saying, you know, maybe not. Like, I kind of like it here. Maybe I could make it. And that's pretty much how I got through elementary school. It was very hard. I was constantly made fun of for like my weight and stuff, but at that point I had friends, so like it didn't feel as bad. Like I don't know, I didn't feel so alone. And then middle school came around, and it actually wasn't like a bad period in my life. I had a lot of friends, and like I finally knew how to speak English. I was spending a lot of time outside. I was on the swim team. Like, things really turned around. And then I entered high school. And to be completely honest, you guys, I think I'm just going to end this like this story time here. I think that my time in high school kind of deserves like a whole different video, because it wasn't all, you know, rainbows and sunshine. I was kind of friends with the wrong people, and I felt like in high school I was very torn between what I wanted. Did I want to be in with the popular kids, or did I want to be you know, pursuing fitness and playing water polo and things like that? But that's like all for a different story, because this video is already very long, and I promise I am going to talk about it, but I just kind of wanted to talk about like me growing up and the things that I went through moving here to the United States. And before I end off this video, I just want to say Like, my relationship with my parents is very, very good. My mom is literally like my best friend, and I understand the reasons and why they made the decisions that they did. I had an absolutely incredible childhood growing up, and I don't think I would have had that if my parents decided to still keep me here at 5 years old. I don't think I would have learned the culture. I don't think I would have learned the language. I don't think I would have known my family. And I don't think I would have this amazing relationship that I have with my grandparents. They are my world. I love them with all my heart. And so for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that my parents were selfless enough to make that decision, because I can't imagine it being easy to say goodbye to your kid and being able to see them once a year. But because of that, I had such an amazing time growing up. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Please, just, this is a very sensitive topic for me to talk about, so if you have something negative to say, just don't say it. Just unsubscribe from my channel, because honestly this was really hard to talk about it, but I'm glad that I did. And now you guys kind of know my background story and where it came from and why I am the way that I am. I think that everything that happened in my past has definitely made me a stronger person. Because of that, I'm able to kind of cope with change a bit better than most people my age. So that's about it. If you made it to the end, comment that down below, because I really want to know if you guys actually sat through all of that and listened to all of that. And I just want to say thank you for listening. If you have any future recommendation, I promise part 2 is coming soon. I'm going to talk about high school, but like I said, that's kind of when I found my love for fitness and stuff, so I could tie it more into what you guys like seeing. So I think that deserves its own video. But I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all in my next one.